I'm Hannah, and I'm hypothyroid myself, and 2 of my children are. I was diagnosed when I was 21. My pregnancy with Xylia was really quite straightforward for the most part. I just had a couple of blood tests through the pregnancy before Xylia was born. They did her heel prick test, and we hadn't actually registered her birth by the time the doctor phoned up going, you know, do that so I can get you booked into the hospital, because we need to get you in there like today if we can, tomorrow at the latest, and do some more blood tests because part of her heel prick test came back out of range and it looks like she might have hypothyroidism. For me, that was really familiar territory, so I hear lots of people get kind of panicked about that one, but because I'd been through it myself and knew that's actually a fairly straightforward thing to deal with, I was just like, oh, all right. And then a few days later we got the phone call that she's hypothyroid as well. She's also autistic, but that's not connected. So you have a lot of things going through life raising kids who have hypothyroidism where you go, is this connected to hypothyroidism, or is this who you'd be whether you had hypothyroidism or not? And so almost every time it's just who your kid is. If you've just been diagnosed as a teenager, I would make sure that you do take your medicines regularly as prescribed, because it takes a while for it to build up in your system, and if you start having hiccups with that, then you get ups and downs all over the place, and you want to keep it consistent. Our biggest concern right now is because sort of 14 and a half, we're trying to transfer a lot of responsibility for taking medication over to Xylia, and that's been an interesting transition, and there's been a fair number of the days where pills have been missed, and we kind of start noticing it, and then have you been taking your medicine? And she's like, oh, I forgot, and then we build back, and you get back on board with it, and we go back to daily reminders, and we see how that goes. But we've been trying to come up with different tactics to build it in as a good habit that's coming from her rather than that's coming from us. And so that's been our biggest challenge lately, is that shift from me giving her medicines from infancy on through to quite lately, and her trying to be the one who's in charge of remembering.
I think it's hard for people to understand to begin with, but then once they do, they tend to be all right with it. Like, hearing your story throughout my whole life has been different than what I've experienced, so I don't have the same experience as a lot of people when they get it later on, because I just know it as my normal, I guess. It's weird to tell people because it's normal to me, and I don't really know any different, and once you get used to it, if you're not used to it, then I suppose it just starts to get easier, because then you're like, oh, this is actually fine, and I can get on with life and things like that.